Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 19. We are past the midway point. I cannot believe it. I'm excited about it. If you have seen today's thumbnail, then you know who today is about. But if you don't, let me tell you, we are talking about Madam C.J. Walker. Madam C.J. Walker was born to formerly enslaved parents. She was orphaned at 7, widowed at 20, and working as a laundress for $1.50 a day. And yet, she became one of the most first self made female millionaires in America. Not by accident, not by inheritance, by, by vision, strategy, and economic literacy. Welcome back to the Literacy Reset, 30 Days of Raising Architects. Today, we reset economic empowerment because literacy builds opportunity and opportunity builds ownership. All right, let me go ahead and make sure you guys can see our slides for today. She was born Sarah Breedlove in 1867. Madam C.J. Walker built hair care empire at a time when both racism and sexism restricted opportunity. She experienced hair loss herself. Instead of accepting it, she studied the problem. She experimented. She read advertisements, observed market gaps, learned from competitors. Then she developed products specifically designed for Black women, a market largely ignored at the time. But here's what made her extraordinary. She didn't just create a product, she built a system. Manufacturing, branding, training programs, a nationwide sales force of women agents. She taught financial independence. She taught presentation skills. She taught business ownership. Now, I love this, and I'm going to segue a little bit because if you know anything about Reading for Smiles and the history of the program that I designed, is that every summer we would teach financial literacy through a course called Money Madness. And then at the end of the summer program, children not only had to produce a commercial, but then they also had to pitch in front of business owners from the community and judges from our board as well, right? Because it was blended. And so financial literacy is a part of everyday learning. It is a part of literacy, how we know it in the traditional school world. And there's no let me see there's no separating of the two. Some people will separate the two. I don't see the separation of the two, because if we're talking money, counting money, understanding what money is used for, and all of the things, which are conversations that start soon as money is introduced. It's about how in depth it goes is the question, and something that should be well thought out. But I can say, 16 years later in the game, I'm now seeing others step up and do more around the space of financial literacy to make sure that it's included within traditional school learning as well as after school learning and so forth. And so I'm happy about that. But let me get back to Madam C.J. Walker. Hold on. Sorry, guys. So let's get back to Madam C.J. Walker. She understood something powerful. Economic empowerment begins with knowledge, and knowledge begins with literacy. For today's principle, opportunity expands when knowledge expands. I don't want that to fly over. I want us to sit with that for just 1 second. Opportunity expands when knowledge expands. Madam C.J. Walker studied a few things. She studied consumer behavior, marketing language, pricing strategy, distribution systems. She read, she listened, she adapted. Literacy fuels entrepreneurship because it enables you to understand contracts, analyze markets, craft persuasive messaging, calculate profit and loss. Without literacy, opportunity shrinks. With literacy, options multiply. Economic empowerment is not just earning money, it is an understanding systems of exchange, value creation, supply and demand, brand identity, negotiations. Children who read broadly and write clearly develop the skills to communicate value, recognize gaps, and design solutions people will pay for. This is economic literacy. Something that I used to have fun with the students over in the summertime, because the summertime is the only time I taught financial literacy, right? In depth, in the way where we're looking at economic empowerment and entrepreneurship. It was this. It allowed the children to work on their oral presentations, build confidence in something that they were working on, as well as work on their persuasive writing, because now we're talking about building out ads. And so, how do you convey a message to people for them to want to come and to hear what you're saying, buy what you're selling, or use a product that you're trying out? In the final couple years of me doing it, and I'm only saying that because I'm going to remaster the class to format it to fit online learning, right? We're no longer in the building anymore. So now everything is digital, and it'll be a course on the actual website once it's done. But it's a lot of elements because that course is taught over a 5 week period, and it's an hour. It was like an hour and some change a day. And so to, get that, it's going to take me some framing around to fit it for online space so it can be on demand. But it's imperative that in these days and times that our children know all of their options, which is why when I had the entrepreneurship class, and most of my students, let me be very clear, continued with me every summer, right? So the average amount of time a child spent with me was at least 3 summers, if they were only coming to the summer program. There's some children who I had longer than that for years, right? They grew up with me, literally. However, what the fun part is what I'm getting to is that every summer you had to create a new business. So because you were already with us, we already know what your old business was. We already know who your old partner was, if you decided to even have a partner, right? And so now, before you even get to middle school or ends off middle school, you have a minimum of 3 business ideas that you could technically launch. That's game changing. There's people that are right now in their 40s that don't know what they want to do or what they could do. So to have 3 or 4 business ideas mapped out, you know who your market is, you know what your messaging should be. And now with the help of AI and all these different things that are happening, you can you can move at a faster pace, especially if your business was an online business versus brick and mortar. You're on to something. You're on to something. I took very good care and pride of making sure my babies were prepared for whatever decision and path that they took in life. Right? Because I'm like, you guys are going to need these skills if you go to college. You're going to need these skills if you join the workforce. You're going to need these skills if you decide to become an entrepreneur. You guys have options. And I think that as architects and this community that I'm forming, is that we need to envision all of the possibilities and make sure that our children are prepared and equipped for those possibilities. Now, does that mean, oh, we're going to figure out every stage of learning? No. There's going to be some things that they're going to have to experience and take hands-on. And there's nothing wrong with that. We can't figure out every aspect. We all know that. But we can be great guides on the side. Great guides on the side. So I want that to sit with people because I loved it. It got to the point where children were starting to make real money at the business expo. They came up with different essential oils. They came up with different types of, what's that stuff these kids like to play with? The Play-Doh, sparkly glitter Play-Doh, oil-based Play-Doh, flour-based. It was phenomenal. Kids came up with their own skincare because in my science class, I was teaching them about the skin and said, if you guys are going to do a skin product, you got to know the science behind skin. It worked. It worked. And so when I talk to you guys in some of these different episodes and I point out, or if you're joining and watching from one of the Facebook groups and I point out, hey, project-based learning, I'm not just saying it to say it. I'm saying it because I've built it. And I've built it over and over and over again. Hands-on learning to real-life learning is how we get essential learning. Children love it. They hold on to it. They own it. They progress. And they take it on. They take it on. They become independent, lifelong learners. They see themselves as now being responsible, and they love it. They love it. But you have to create the environment for it. And so with that, I move on into what are some practical steps that you can actually do with your child in your homeschool or even for a classroom setting, because I'm not going to leave my fellow educators out of the conversation. I never want people to feel like, oh, well, it's just one set of group. No, all of us that work with children have an opportunity to change the game and to set them up for success to our best ability, right? So first, teach persuasive writing. Have the child create a product idea, write a sales page, draft an advertisement. Persuasion builds economic awareness. Second, introduce basic financial literacy. Teach revenue versus profit, expenses, investment, savings, pricing strategy. Even young children can grasp simple business math. Assign entrepreneur projects. Ask your child to identify a need, design a solution for it, calculate the cost, and present their ideas. Ownership grows through practice. Excuse me. Study biographies of business builders. What problem did they solve? Who did they serve? How did they scale? Literacy fuels entrepreneurial thinking. Here's the other part. Years ago, I also had for my business owners, if you are familiar with Profit First, The author Mike Michalowicz actually spoke to my students that I had that time at that time. He shared his stories of making the million, losing it, having a 6 or 7 year old daughter at the time who was also nervous and going to her piggy bank to help pay for something, right? Because she saw the wariness on her parents' faces about things that were occurring in real time. And that conversation was powerful. The whole setup was powerful. Not only did my babies get a chance to speak to someone who has built something, failed, and built again, but we were connecting real life literacy into real time. We were connecting the foundation of what does it mean to use your knowledge to correct something that's going on in your life. How do we leverage your knowledge? Deep. And we taught courage because it takes courage to bounce back. It takes confidence to bounce back. One thing about literacy and education overall, right? No one can take from you what you know. And so if you're not investing into yourself and into your literacy, your knowledge, your foundation base, the core of you with all this information that's out here, the world could feel like a disaster. Your opportunities feel like they just shrunk. And so we are not raising consumers. We are raising creators. Madam C.J. Walker did not wait for permission. She created opportunity. She empowered others economically. She built wealth and reinvested into her community. When your child develops literacy skills, they gain communication power, negotiation confidence, strategic clarity. Economic empowerment begins in the mind, and the mind is shaped through literacy. If today revealed that your homeschool, your learning center, your after school program, your classroom teaches subjects but not ownership, that awareness is powerful. Inside the Offer as Homeschool Clarity Roadmap, we guide families through teaching persuasive and analytical writing, integrating financial literacy into core subjects, designing real world entrepreneurship projects, and raising economically empowered thinkers. So your child doesn't just earn income, they create opportunities. I'm going to let that sit there with you guys for a minute because there's a lot going on in the world right now. It's been a little hectic and busy out here since 2020. And if we learned anything, it is to create pathways to be able to sustain ourselves and to sustain our family, to look at what's going on in society and have that moral obligation that may kick in and says, how can I help support you, someone, something in my community, in the space that I've created? This is the literacy reset. And in this reset, I also have built out the home studio, which I'm going to share with you just in a second, on school. And so this studio is literacy centered, where intentional parents become educational architects over their child's journey. I have made a decision that two things. Well, one, I actually finished the course for the confident reader and writer, and that will be out very soon. I just finished the videos yesterday. Shout out to my husband for holding down our children so that I can do the work. And then I'm going to put that out there for a few people. But if you're inside the group, you will get it automatically. I'm going to just say that. But there's going to be other things that I'm building that's going to be just for the group. And I want to put that out there. So I have a lot of different things going on. And one of those things is the roadmap intensive. And that's where I was going with this. I picked the date. And I believe we are starting. Let me actually open the calendar because I don't want to be online saying the wrong date and people be like, that ain't what you said. And today, honey, people make clips and be like, look at that clip. The cohort begins April 9th. April 9th. We start putting things together to build out your academic year. It's a 4-week cohort. And I shared it in one of the previous episodes before. I don't remember which one, but have no fear and no worries. Once all of the pages have been set to go live, I will definitely share it here on this channel. And I also have my Roadmap Clarity webinar coming up. And hold on, do I have the date for that? It looks like, next Thursday, the 26th. The 26th. I have the roadmap webinar. So what I will do is make sure that since I'm mentioning it in this episode, let me write a note to go back with today, place link for the webinar. The webinar is free. Come learn, come sit, come chat with me. I look forward to everybody coming on and getting the framework to help build out your year. This is not about curriculum. This is not even me going in that direction. Whatever curriculum you choose, that's going to be fitting to you. But I want you to have some background information before you choose. And this framework that I'm going to teach is going to give you all of the reasons of why you need to make a choice that's going to fit your family's dynamic. Right? Not Pinterest, not another Facebook group, none of that stuff. Because everything doesn't work for everybody. But once you have this framework and you see what I'm talking about, then now you can go and approach the different curriculums with this framework in mind and say, okay, this works because I know what I'm getting into. Right? So that's how I want to share that. And please know, if you guys have any questions, you can always drop them below, or you can send the email to support@readingforsmiles.org. I will respond back to them. And this is the Literacy Reset. Today, we reset economic empowerment. I will see all of you wonderful folks tomorrow in episode 20, and I look forward to it. And like I said, I should have all of the links, hopefully crossing fingers. The little people let me do my thing and they do their thing, and I'll have it in the description, and I'll be able to show you guys more tomorrow. All right. Have a good one. Take care. Many parents ask me, what exactly do you do at Reading for Smiles? Let me show you. Our mission at Reading for Smiles is very simple. We help families raise confident readers, writers, and thinkers. We also produce a YouTube series called Literacy Reset, where we explore powerful literacy lessons through the lives of great thinkers, innovators, and leaders. We have a community called the R4S Homeschool Studio, where homeschool parents come together to learn, plan, and support each other. For parents inside the community, you guys can learn through two courses: the Architect Parent, which helps you design homeschool with intention, and the Confident Reader and Writer course, which is a framework for building strong literacy at home. We also offer a homeschool roadmap intensive, where we help parents plan their homeschool year with clarity. And for the babies, of course, we create literacy learning packs, have on demand courses, and I also have ebooks for parents to help them strengthen their homeschools by developing reading, writing, and thinking skills and programs and projects in the house. If you're homeschooling and you want support raising strong readers and thinkers, then definitely come join our community on school. We can't wait to see you and have you there with us.